in biotechnology. Figure 11.2 Diagrammatic representation of recombinant DNA technology. So this diagram clearly shows how the recombinant DNA technology is used to get the desired product. Here we have the foreign DNA. That is our gene of interest is present in this DNA, where from that gene we are getting a product of the gene. So this we take the foreign DNA and we have to flank this with a vector DNA, that is a plasmid DNA. So here we are digesting this foreign DNA and as well as this vector DNA with the same restriction endonuclease enzyme, so that at the same point the cleavage will be there, so that we can get a complementary pairing. It can be complementary paired with that of vector DNA. So if we treat with the restriction endonuclease, we'll get different fragments of DNA. Say for example, we have interested in this particular fragment. First we have to gel electrophoresis it. So as here we have, say if we subject it for gel electrophoresis, we all know that DNA is negatively charged, it moves towards the anode. Depending upon the size, the smaller fragment will move faster and the larger fragment will move very slower. So if for example our gene of interest is present at this particular region, we will take and we'll cut it, isolate, it is known as elution. So we'll take that DNA and we mix the plasmid with that of our desired DNA, and complementary pairing will take place, and with the help of this ligase enzyme, the DNA will be joined to this vector, and this vector is allowed to take up by the host cell, say for example E. coli. So it will subject to heat shock or will disturb the membrane by adding calcium ions, so that it can take up the plasmid DNA. So this recombinant DNA will be taken up by this host cell. As the host cell divides, our gene of interest will also divide along with the host cell. Okay, this is an technique how we can incorporate the foreign DNA into host cell, and we can get a number of copies of this DNA. So separation and isolation of DNA fragment, I will go in detail. As I already told that DNA can be separated by gel electrophoresis. So DNA fragments are negatively charged. They can be separated by the electric field as they move towards the anode. So same electric field will be there, same force, same electrical field will be there. If the object is very smaller molecular weight, it will be dragged very fast, and if the DNA fragment is having very large, so it will be lately dragged. Okay, so sometimes the marker DNA will be run into in a separate well, so that we'll get the scale of molecular weight, say kilobase pairs or whatever we are in need. So at that particular region, you will get a definite molecular weight of DNA, and that we can cut and we can elute it. So this agarose gel extracted from the seaweed, and it is acts as a sieving effect. So depending upon the size, so a molecular size will be there, molecular sieves will be there, so that through that sieves the DNA fragments move, the cleaved DNA fragments move. The separated DNA fragments can also be visualized only after staining the DNA with a compound known as ethidium bromide. So care must be taken, so it may be mutagenic here. And this ethidium bromide, if you stain the DNA with this ethidium bromide, if you expose with that UV radiation, we can get orange colored bands of DNA in the UV rays. Okay. So the separate bands of DNA are cut out from the agarose gel and extracted from the gel piece. This step is known as elution. Okay. Next is the cloning vectors. So what are the cloning vectors? Say plasmids and bacteriophages. They have the ability to replicate within the bacterial cells, independent of the bacterial chromosome. Bacteriophages, because of their high number per cell, have very high copy numbers of their genome within the bacterial cell. Some plasmid may have only 1 or 2 copies per cell, whereas others may have 15 to 100 copies per cell. So our advantage is high copy number should be there in the bacterial cell, so that we can get a more genes per cell. Vectors used at present are engineered in such a way that they help easy linking of foreign DNA and selection of recombinants from non-recombinants. So one such vector we are discussing here in the, this is PBR 332. It was first in 1977 designed by Herbert Boyer. So here we can see two selectable markers, that is ampicillin resistant gene and tetracycline resistant gene, and there is an ORI site is there, where this ORI site is a must, where the initiation of replication will take place, origin of replication will be takes place. It also helps in the number of copy per cells. Okay. Next, another gene is there, that is ROP, which codes the protein involved in the replication of plasmid. And we have many regions as the recognition regions as a cleavage sites for many restriction endonucleases. Say for example, here EcoR1, CLA1, HIND3, BAMH1, SAL1, PVU2, PST1, PVU1, as we already know. So here these restriction sites, they are named based on the restriction endonuclease enzyme. So as we know the naming pattern, how we have named, say for example EcoR1, we have obtained it from the E. coli, Escherichia coli. So here is Escherichia coli organism, restriction endonuclease. Its cleavage site is this 5' GA. So the recognition sequence is GAATTC. So this is a palindrome. Okay. Like that for CLA1, caryophenol atom 5' ATC. here 5 prime ATC. Haemophilus influenza, hint 3, 5 prime EAA, 5 prime EAA. This is recognition sequence and this is the cleavage site. This is Bacillus amyloliqueficans, BAMH1, 5 prime GG, 5 prime GG, cleavage site. Staphylococcus aureus, SAL1, 5 prime GTC, 5 prime GTC. So here between guanine and thymine, 5 prime guanine and thymine, there is a cleavage site. There is a cleavage site in this particular strand. Proteus vulgaris PVU2. So CAG between G and C here in this. Providentia stoata PST1. So here this is the cleavage site. Proteus vulgaris PV1. This is the cleavage site. Okay, these are all the cleavage site what we can get from this artificially prepared this plasmid vector PBR322. So it has become highly versatile for many recombinant DNA technique, where it has many cleavage sites are there for many restriction enzymes, and it has ORI site, and it has 2 marker like ampicillin resistant and tetracycline resistant. Sometimes this diagram is asked for 3 marks. Here, what are the qualities that vector should have? One is the following features that are required to facilitate cloning into vector. Origin of replication, selectable markers, there is a cloning sites. So this should be there. As we know that the origin of replication, the ORI site, this is a sequence from where replication starts, and any piece of DNA when linked to the sequence can be made to replicate within the host cells. This sequence is also responsible for controlling the copy number of the linked DNA. Next is selectable markers. In addition to ORI, the vector requires a selectable marker which helps in identifying and eliminating non-transformants and selectively permitting the growth of the transformants. Transformation is a procedure through which a piece of DNA is introduced in a host bacterium. The genes encoding resistance to antibodies such as ampicillin, chloramphenicol, tetracycline or kanamycin. So these are the genes resistant to these antibiotics. They can be used as a markers. So normally E. coli does not carry any resistant gene for these antibiotics. So we have to take it from the donor bacterium, the plasmid from the donor bacterium, and prepare and then reintroduce this E. coli to form transformed E. coli.